Hey, Ecommerce Marketing Podcast listener, are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own referral program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Toccara Karizma, and yes, that really is her name. And she is a highly sought-after digital marketing consultant and online business growth expert. In addition to creating Social Savvy, a digital course designed to help business owners accelerate the learning curve to quickly generate revenue from profitable Facebook ads, she is also the owner of Karizma Marketing, a full-service digital marketing agency dedicated to growing seven-figure plus e-commerce brands online through various marketing channels, including paid ads, email marketing, SEO, and more. She has dominated the digital space since 2007 when she launched her own successful e-commerce business that now helps her clients serve over 30 million customers through high-level digital marketing strategies. Her out-of-the-box omni-channel approach to digital marketing and expertise in the online business growth space is why we've asked her to join us today. Welcome to the podcast, Toccara.
Thank you so much, Arlen. I'm so excited to be here.
No problem. And thank you for joining us. I'm really excited to talk to you. You definitely have a wealth of knowledge I know you can share with our listeners. And I'm super excited to dig deep into that because today's topic is really a hot topic I've touched on before in some other episodes, but it keeps coming up with customers that I'm dealing with here at OSI Affiliate Software and just in general over the past few years, social media marketing and specifically paid ads on Facebook and Instagram. Everybody's trying to figure it out and trying to see how they can win big on those platforms. And you're going to enlighten us a little bit on how to do that. But before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and specifically how you got into what you're doing today?
Well, first, thank you for that amazing introduction, Arlen.
No problem.
I started like many others, actually. I started back in 2007 when I actually first had my kid. I had my first child, had my own e-commerce store. This was before Shopify existed, before drop shipping really was a term. Facebook only had 20 million users at that time. And I had built an international brand. And I learned the power of making money while you sleep during that period. And so fast forward from 2007 to today in 2021, and I loved the marketing side. I fell in love with e-commerce and I realized fulfilling orders, ordering inventory, dealing with shipping, having to be stuck in one location wasn't for me in terms of that side of e-commerce, but I loved growing brands. I loved building successful businesses. And so today we support a lot of e-commerce 7, 8, 9-figure brands and help them through an omni-channel approach. We're mostly known for Facebook ads and Instagram ads, of course, but we are Klaviyo, Gold Master. So we do a lot of email marketing as well, SEO, website conversion rate optimization, and so much more, because I am a believer that all these tools need to work together in order to grow your business. So that's my jam.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And what you mentioned at the very end there is really the key thing, and it is making all of these different platforms work together, talk to each other, and effectively do that. I had someone that I spoke with yesterday. I was actually on another podcast, on somebody else's podcast actually, and we talked a little bit about how things these days are a lot easier than it was back in the early 2000s, which is when I started the business, as far as when you were looking to tie apps together, get data to talk to each other. It wasn't as easy as it is today. You had to do a lot of custom development, coding to have different applications talk to each other. But these days, fortunately, most of these app vendors and these social platforms, have created plugins and different tools, APIs and things to allow you to easily integrate one with another. And that's really the power of, I think, where we're at today. And it's an awesome thing that you're able to get on top of that and help other businesses manage that type of thing.
Exactly. It's like expanding your workforce. Everything's on
Yeah.
automation and it's free. It's great
Yeah.
in terms of when you do
Mhm.
something on automation, you're not manually sitting and paying someone to do that. That's
Right.
happening free in the background.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. We have good stuff. Well, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, of course, today we're going to be talking about social media marketing, specifically Facebook and Instagram. Now, one of the biggest questions that I want to start off with, which is something that I think always comes up when I'm talking to businesses, because everyone kind of hears the success stories of how many businesses are using like Facebook ads is almost like an ATM and getting just cash, daily from Facebook ads and getting sales from it. And everybody wants to be a part of it. So the biggest question I always get is really is is social media marketing paid ads on Facebook and Instagram, is it right for every e-commerce business?
Yes, I love that. And if it was truly like an ATM, everyone would be doing it, right? So it
Right, right.
doesn't quite work that way.
Right.
And I, in all transparency, say no. It absolutely is not for every
Oh,
business.
okay.
And just hear me out. It's a place to get to once we have our foundation set. And what I mean by that is, do we have a website that converts? That's a big deal. Do we have our unique selling proposition really nailed down and a product to market fit, that there actually is a demand for this product? And then once we get them to our website, are they going to convert? Do we have some type of system where we can capture their email and market to them off the platform so that we can continue that conversation and nurture them? And so what I find is I see a lot of the time small business owners saying, Facebook ads didn't work for me, I'm done. Well, running
Right.
Facebook ads is like flying a 747, you know? So we don't ask
Right.
someone to fly that jet for us without having a pilot's license. And it's the
Right.
truth. So why do we think as small business owners that we can just
Mhm.
go into this console that is and understand how that works without years of experience and
Yeah.
without building up a backup plan to make all of that convert? So what I say is, let's first focus on that foundation. Let's make sure that we have all these pieces in place. And if that all sounds good, then great, great. Then our next step is, let's go into the Facebook ads piece. And I would always start very small and then kind of go from there. And there's a lot of research that goes into it as well to make sure what we're doing is
Mhm.
stacked in our favor. And so
Yeah.
that we understand how to get these to actually convert and reach our end goals.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And I'm glad you really stated that, because a lot of times every business these days kind of almost thinks that, because there's so many other businesses that are on the platforms doing ads and being successful, they think they immediately just need to jump there on there. But it may not be right for them. There's a lot of these days, there's 1,000,001 marketing channels. So, you don't necessarily have to go that route. Yeah, you can be successful and it's right for certain businesses, but not every business can be successful with it. Um,
Exactly. And it's a
yeah,
disclaimer that the beauty of Facebook ads is you can compete with the Nikes and the Coca-Colas of the world. You can spend $1 a day and get distribution and at least get
yeah,
brand awareness. So I
yeah,
do want to put that out there. But we do have
mhm,
to align our goals with Facebook ads with the
right,
realistic, where are we in our business?
yeah,
So just let me kind of put that little disclaimer in there
yeah,
that they
yeah.
are a great way to get awareness and have your
That
brand
is
seen.
that's very true. Yeah, any
Yeah,
business can, if you're looking to just get awareness, if and your main goal may not necessarily be to drive sales, get conversions, and that type of thing, but just some brand awareness. Yeah, definitely. A vehicle, for pretty much for almost any business to get some awareness. If you're if at least a subset of your demographic is on these platforms, then yeah, it makes sense. And these days, who's
yeah,
not on social media? So
exactly.
9 times out of 10 it is. But yeah, I think one of the reasons why you mentioned earlier, a lot of times people just go on there, they think they can click on the console and get going all on their own without really necessarily having any expertise or anything. And I love that comparison of being a pilot for a 747. You wouldn't ask just anybody, flying coach to try to fly the plane. That doesn't work.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
need somebody to fly the plane. And but yeah, I think what it is just, and part of it is because Facebook They have to make it easy for people, and it's easy to just get in there, create your account, your profile, add your credit card, and anyone can really do it. And so they're just trying to maximize their profits, and so there's no fault on them. But yes, you do need some proper consultation and guidance before you really dig deep
And
in there.
yeah, and a strategy. So the reason why a lot of
Yeah,
those Facebook ads don't work for small businesses is we come out and we say, buy me, buy me, buy my stuff. I'm so great. I'm the best.
yeah.
But that's not the natural relationship we build up as humans with people.
Hmm.
And people these days more than ever want to align with the values of a company and their mission and what they're all about. And you have to form that that natural relationship
Yeah.
with your customer base and your following. So most of the time, the reasons also why those small business kind of ads don't work is because they don't have that sales funnel or that roadmap ahead of them
Mhm.
to guide a customer on that journey to get to the
Mhm.
final decision of trusting the company enough to make that purchase.
Yeah, yes, very true. Now, I think the one of the main questions once somebody does get in the route of creating campaigns via Facebook, Instagram, they say they got the proper consultation. I think the main thing is, and the kind of, I guess, the heart of everything is the messaging. And what are some really effective ways to come up with the right messaging to target the right demographics on social media? Because I've dealt with a lot of business owners that struggle with, coming up with that.
Yes. I actually call this the cow method, the customer's
Mhm.
own words. There's a few
Okay.
things that we do in our agency. It's one of the ones we use kind of in Social Savvy, but I love doing customer research. I think a lot of business owners skip this step. And what we do in the agency is a lot of different steps of research. One is pulling out customers' own words. So let's say we have a brand that's big enough that they have tons of reviews that we want
Mhm.
to first pull all of those reviews out for our particular brand and our client. Because when we can spit out the exact words a customer is using about what they love or where their frustration points are, we can build a very effective ad. So that's something really big. If your brand is not big enough, you know what you do? You go to a place like Amazon, the
Mhm.
gorilla,
Right,
of
right.
e-commerce in a lot of ways. And so you can put in very similar products. I always like to use the example of headphones, like earphones or earbuds,
Mhm.
because a lot of the times you can see you can pull up earphones and you can see this is my 5-star reviews and these are like my 2-star reviews. 1 star I kind of skip because no matter what, they're just angry. I don't know if we can
Right,
get a
right,
lot of
right.
value out of the 1 stars, but the
Mhm.
2 to 3 stars, and you start actually seeing there's online tools, even Amazon does it. You can put in these reviews and you can see what words keep coming up over and over again. So I'll give you a perfect example. We have a client for 3+ years now, with hair loss products. Well,
Mhm.
I never used the word, we started pulling out our content matrix. We never used the word hairline in any of our ads. But what I realized when I pulled all these reviews together and I started running them through tools online to see what words were coming up over and over again, hairline was one of the biggest words that their
Mhm.
customers were using. So I know I need to use that in my ad copy or in my email marketing, for example. So that's just one way in which we can look at that. There's also a great ads library on Facebook. I love it so much. So you can go to, I believe it's business.com/Facebook/ads library or something like that, library/ads. You can also Google it. And what you
Mhm.
can do is, again, look at your competitors' ads. Everything's free and transparent. So you
Right.
can see what are they doing and be inspired. And then finally, another resource I love, love, love is milled.com. That's for
Mhm.
email marketing. But let's say you have a brand, because we do a lot of email marketing too, and you can figure out if it's a big brand, again, just like Amazon, if you don't have enough reviews, or you don't have a strong email marketing, system in place, look at what these other established brands are doing in their email marketing and be inspired and start
Mhm.
having and getting ideas from yourself, because you know that they're spending hundreds of thousands or millions on their marketing. They're probably doing things right. They wouldn't, so you can rely on their expertise to help guide you if you're a smaller brand.
Right, right, definitely. Yeah, great advice there. It's and it's difficult, but I love that suggestion of actually looking at the reviews. I don't know if I've ever had somebody tell me to look at the reviews, but yeah, that's a great way to get ideas around your particular niche and your brand. What are people saying about this particular product line? And if you're in the same space, yeah, you can really see what are the conversations people are having? What are they, are there certain features people are mentioning? And the earpods are a great example. I remember a couple of years ago, before I bought my first Apple AirPods, I was searching for a million different. I was trying to make the right decision. I'm an Apple guy, and then I always use Apple products. And I was looking. I mean, wow, there are so many types of different wireless headphones that it's unbelievable. So I was looking through reviews, and like you said, you can learn a lot from those 2-star reviews as opposed to the 1-star review. You can kind of really understand what are really people really saying around this product. And I think you can use that around any niche, any particular product line.
Yeah, exactly. Another way with that anti-hair loss client, for example, I never knew how important smell was to people.
Mm,
So if you sell a commodity like hair products, beauty products, skincare products, scent is a big deal. And
mm,
you can't have someone smell these days, maybe in 30 years, we'll have a scent come
mm.
through the computer, right? Or our phone.
Right, right,
But these
right.
days, you can't, no one knows what that perfume you're trying to sell or body mist smells like, or shampoo.
Mm,
So going through those reviews and seeing constantly that people are saying it has a light, fresh citrus scent or mint smell, or that,
mm.
that is important information
Yeah,
for you to make sure
yeah,
that you're kind of adding, because they
mm,
can't actually physically smell it. So we're kind
yeah,
of, getting to all of their senses.
yeah. Definitely, yeah. And so the customer feedback there is key, and that's where you can kind of pull a lot of your messaging.
Yeah.
Now, thinking about Facebook, of course, one of the things that's really exploded over the years is Facebook groups. And so that's another route you can go, and it doesn't cost anything to create a Facebook group. And these days, I'm starting to see, of course, a lot more Facebook groups, a lot more companies that are, you know, um, creating them, because they're really huge these days. You can get free promotion, but what does an average e-commerce business create a group around, and that would really make sense? Because I think that's one of the things that I think people struggle with. It was like, okay, I can create a group, but what's going to make sense for my audience?
Yeah, and I love that question, and we get it so often. And we have to remember that building a brand is also about building community, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
making someone feel like a part of a community. And so when we build a group, and we have, clients who have like 90,000 members that we built in their Facebook group, and it's just
Yeah.
killing it for them. When we build a group, it's always about solving a problem. It's never really about the
Absolutely.
product. So how do you relate your product to a group and create community around that? I'll give you two examples. One is a swimwear brand that we
Mhm.
represent, and the swimwear brand's mission is that everybody is like perfectly imperfect, right? And to love the skin you're in. And so the group is about empowering women. And
Mhm.
although and the owner, the CEO of this company, is just a genius. She realizes when a woman puts on their bikinis, it's not about the bikini, it's about the way the bikini makes that woman feel. And so
Right.
the group is all about female support and empowerment, and it just creates such a strong community around the brand. And then they do lives in there, and they do special promotions, and they do sales, and it just becomes this, it's out of control. It's crazy. She'll grow the group at like 400, 500 members a day. And then the
Mhm.
other example I have is not e-commerce, but it's a SaaS company with over 30 million customers. And before they had started the group, and we run it for them, it was, our pitch was, hey, this is a way for you to be able to nurture your customers and keep them in, because a big thing with SaaS, as you know, Arlen, is the
Mhm.
churn rate, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, and so this was actually kind of taken from ClickFunnels, where ClickFunnels would do certain things where they would basically help onboard and keep. This is one of the strategies they kind of use, not a group, but in essence, education and keeping
Mhm.
someone in, because that first 30 days is so critical for someone to
Right.
understand your product. So for them, they had some low customer service review rates. They had a little bit of a higher churn rate than they wanted. It's like, okay, cool. Let's invite people into this community. Let's get their customer service needs, answered in this community. Let's give them support and strategies on how to use this tool and how to grow
Mhm.
their business through the SaaS tool. So these are ways in which we can build groups in which they're not directly about the product, but they're
Yeah.
offering a solution to a problem. And that's how you build the group. So what I
Yeah,
would then go back to our listeners today is what's the problem we're solving? How can we help support our community and provide community around that? And that's what our group should be
I
about.
see. Yeah, yeah, makes a lot of sense. And I think the attractiveness to these groups, when people are associating and joining these groups that are part of brands, is that it's kind of like I guess you could say kind of like a safe space, because they know, of course, the brands ultimately want to grow their business. If there's new products that are coming out, they may announce it on the groups and things like that, but the groups are really more, like you said, for answering, solving problems, and really helping the customer, not necessarily just utilizing their products or their services, but helping them get something done. And I think with the safe Facebook groups, it's a little different than the standard customer service support channels, because you have access to everybody. There are other people that are in the group, other customers. You can see what other customers are saying. You can bounce ideas off of them. You can form relationships with other customers that are using the product. And so, yeah, it really creates an awesome pool for just really engagement that can help empower your customer base for sure.
Exactly. And we have a lot of clients who own e-commerce brands that are also
Mhm.
influencers. And
Mhm.
so to build that intimate relationship with your customer base, to really
Mhm.
let them see inside your life a little bit, get in there, go
Yeah.
live, it's
Mhm.
a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's another way in which you can, especially if you are the face of your business,
Yeah.
get in and make a further, deeper connection to
Yeah.
your customers.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. That's great advice. And that's, like I said before we started recording, we've got several different groups that we've started. And yeah, you got some of my wheels churning in my head about some things that we can do. Because
I
as you
love it.
mentioned, we're a SaaS business, and customer churn is something that we battle with, day in, day out. It's tough to keep people, as customers without opting out, and getting distracted with other things and getting too busy to get into your product. So yeah, I've got my wheels churning for sure.
Awesome.
Um, well, as we get ready to wrap things up, I wanted to see if you could highlight and mention a few business examples of maybe companies that you're familiar with, that you guys have either worked with, or just in general that you're familiar with, that have really been successful with social media ads, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, and any other platform. And what specifically did they do that really kind of knocked it out of the park?
Yeah, yeah. So some of the ways in which we've kind of built these brands and really built an experience around the brand, which I think is kind of key here. How
Mhm.
can someone have an experience with your brand? Is through kind of like a giveaway strategy, which, let me say that with a little disclaimer. You can also
Mhm.
get a lot of very unqualified leads who are just interested in something for free.
Right.
However, it's an easy way to grow your Instagram following, to grow your email list. I always say always attach it to email. Social followings don't pay the bills, but emails, you can actually start nurturing them off the platform, so you're not building your castle on someone else's foundation.
Right.
But giveaways can be super helpful in building those groups, email lists, social followings. And another one is to actually look into your analytics. So a lot of companies don't do this. If I talk to the business owner, they'll kind of know, and I'll actually ask them, because I can see all their analytics. Oh, so this is your top selling product. Here, this is what's converting well. Hey, this we need to move. It's been on our shelves. It's not selling well. So what we can do is do things like bundling, right? And look at our analytics and drive ads or sales or, emails around either top converting products, at least as the entry point into the brand, or bundle together products that tend to sell well
Mhm.
together and kind of increase our average order value, and also get rid of possibly some of those products that aren't moving as well. The best strategy, probably, and every brand we introduce it to, it always becomes their top selling product, especially if you have a lot of female customers,
Mhm.
is, believe it or not, like these surprise products. And
Mm.
for me, it's funny because I wouldn't really, for me, I wouldn't buy something where I kind of don't know what I'm buying.
Right.
But it's a thing. It's like a thing. It's
Right.
like the subscription boxes every month that come, and you
Hmm.
don't know what's going to come. It's like a Christmas present. Well, it's
Yeah.
the same. So what we do is it's a really easy offer to make with a light savings, and every single brand we've introduced it to, and these are multi-million dollar brands. It's their top selling product. So where we
Mm.
offer some sort of surprise, and it's an easy yes, but they get a slight discount, and it's an easy way to get someone into your brand, especially at top of funnel where they haven't quite made a purchase yet or might not know who you are. So these are some strategies we've implemented that have worked really well with our brands, and I'd love to see those get tested with some of our listeners and see how they go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice there. And one of the things that you mentioned that's really key, and this can apply to various aspects of the business, is you mentioned that you really didn't do with some of those brands that you're working with, you didn't do anything until you looked at their analytics. So essentially, you were making data-driven decisions on those particular marketing tactics that you were doing, and I think that's really where sometimes businesses fail, where they just kind of jump right into these things and maybe they look at some of their competitors, what their competitors are doing, but the competitors are different. You can't necessarily clone everything your competitors are doing, even if they're successful. You got to look at your own stuff. You got to look at your own stats and, what would make sense based on, the analytics you have, the click-throughs that you're getting, your opt-in rates, what messaging is resonating with people. So yeah, very key. I think that's what kind of the top piece of advice, one of the main takeaways.
I agree. And if your agency is not asking you those questions, that's a big red flag. And
Yeah,
it's just,
that's
and
right.
as an agency, we like to also ask those questions. If
Mhm.
a male dominant brand is saying, I want to get onto Pinterest, and I
Mhm.
know that Pinterest is 77% female users and they
Right.
have a 70% male customer base, it's
Mhm.
my job to say, hey, look, the analytics, the data doesn't necessarily support that strategy. It might not be
Yeah.
somewhere where we want to put all of our eggs in that basket. So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think these days businesses have the tendency to fall in the trap of the whole FOMO syndrome, the fear of missing out, because they see other brands, but just like you said in that example, for Pinterest, for a male brand, and that it just may not be the right match for them. So yeah, good stuff. Well, Toccara, it's been awesome talking to you. Like I said, I learned a lot. I've got a few takeaways on my end for sure. A lot of takeaways that I've got things churning in my background that I'm going to definitely talk to my team about. And hopefully our listeners have some great takeaways as well. So we appreciate you coming on. And lastly, before we let you go, I always like to switch gears here and ask one final question, just so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
yeah, well, because it comes up with my name a lot, I'll share the fun fact that I actually didn't have a name for 2 years.
Hmm.
And Toccara Karizma truly is my name, Toccara Karizma Lauren Drucker. And that's because my parents used to call me either all my baby photos say baby number 3, or they say charisma on them, because I
Hmm.
guess as a baby, even then I had charisma.
Okay.
So I don't even know what time I was born because there is
Wow.
no birth certificate. Everything was delayed because
Hmm.
my mom left the hospital without naming me.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's always a fun fact.
That's definitely a fun fact. Very interesting. So 2 years of your life without having a name. Very interesting. What
Yeah.
was your parents' thought behind it? They wanted to put more time and to figure out, more of where your personality was going to go before they named you. Was that their thinking?
Yes, exactly. And by the
Okay.
way, I have 3 sisters and they all have the same story. So,
Oh, wow.
so I think they
Okay.
just wanted to get to know us a little better and figure out our
Okay.
personalities. And if I told you their names, you would laugh as well.
Gotcha. Very interesting. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. Usually, parents are, they're racking their brain, when, the woman is 1 month pregnant. They're trying to figure out a name. But yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, you really don't know. You don't become your own really until, a few years. The child starts to develop and you can kind of see, where they are. But yeah, that's interesting. I like that. Thank you for sharing that fun fact
Of
for
course.
sure.
Always a fun one.
Um, yeah, definitely. And lastly, before we let you go, if any of our listeners want to reach out to you and pick your brain anymore about social media ads, Facebook, Instagram, or any other digital marketing topic, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, so they can find me everywhere at Toccara Karizma, and
Okay.
it's such a difficult spelling. It's Toccarizma, website, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and my agency is Charisma Marketing. So they can always check out all of our digital marketing services by looking those up.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely encourage people to check you out and check out all of what you have to offer for businesses for sure. And thank you, of course, for joining us today on the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Arlen. I had so much fun with you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode of the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know.